Back in the early 90s, my world of gaming consisted mostly of fighters. Since the first time I played Street Fighter II in the arcade, I was completely hooked. And this led me to start looking for other fighters as well, which led me first to Fatal Fury. Little did I know, Fatal Fury was developed by a little company called SNK. You might have heard of them. They made this little console called the Neo Geo. I never got a Neo Geo. It wasn't in the budget. But SNK was one of those companies that pumped out 2D fighters like it was going out of style. Now, I don't know if they were just trying to capitalize on the market or if they just really enjoyed developing these games more than others. But regardless, after Fatal Fury, I discovered the Art of Fighting, which I ended up getting on my SNES as a kid. And though it was a short game and definitely had its flaws, the characters and storyline intrigued me and kept me following the series. I still don't own a Neo Geo, but lucky for me, all 3 games saw a release on the PS2, so let's take a look at the Art of Fighting Anthology. The series actually serves as somewhat of a prequel to the Fatal Fury series. The game takes place decades before Fatal Fury in the same location, Southtown. The 2 main characters consist of Ryo Sakazaki and Robert Garcia, best friends and rivals. Sounds familiar. These 2 martial arts experts team up to track down Yuri, Ryo's sister, who has been kidnapped. As the story revolves around these 2 individuals finding Yuri, these are the only 2 playable characters in the game's story mode. This was the second fighter developed by SNK behind Fatal Fury, and instantly you'll notice a difference visually. This game looks really good. The sprites are nice and large while scaled in, and the stage is easily seen while scaled out. The game also features a visual damage that can be seen during the progression of a match. I really enjoy the level designs and the gritty feel of the town as you make your way throughout different locations. What I don't like is the difficulty. Now, a game with only 1 punch and 1 kick button should be pretty easy to master, but this game is just tough. I mean, for one, it's really hard to pull off special moves. I'd say I land maybe 1 out of every 5 attempts. Then there's the special meter that gets depleted as you use special attacks. The lower this meter gets, the weaker your special attack will be. You can taunt to lower your opponent's special meter, but this requires you to stop and waste time as well as leave yourself vulnerable to attacks. And last, the enemies are just plain cheap. Sometimes I barely even get a chance to move without being spammed by fireballs or other special attacks. This is definitely a tough game, but a very good fighter, and I have a lot of nostalgic memories with this one. Art of Fighting 2 was released in 1994, 2 years after its predecessor. The game takes place a year after the first game's events. This game actually revolves around the very first King of Fighters tournament hosted by a very young criminal mastermind that you might know. His name is Geese Howard. Plenty of familiar faces return here, as well as some newcomers. Instantly, you'll notice that this game moves a lot faster than the previous title, which is a very nice improvement. Another thing I'm very thankful for is the fact that the moves are a lot easier to pull off. I don't have to attempt a move over and over again to actually land it. The graphics are pretty similar to the first. The level designs feature quite a bit more detail, but the fighters all retain pretty much the same look for the most part. Just like the original, this game features over-the-top, exaggerated sound effects, but this has always been one of my favorite features of the Art of Fighting series. I thought the first Art of Fighting was hard, but this one really takes the cake. Seriously, this game is notorious for having cheap AI, which will just spam you with special moves until you're dead. This game is extremely fun to play despite its level of difficulty, and it's probably my favorite out of all of the 3 Art of Fighting titles. "1996 saw the 3rd and final entry of the series, The Path of the Warrior Art of Fighting 3. This game ditches almost the entire roster from the previous title, with only the game's two main characters, Rio and Robert Garcia, returning. Instead of the game focusing heavily on Rio, the story instead shifts over to Robert Garcia. The gameplay takes place in Grass Hill Valley, which is quite different than Southtown. It's got a small-town desert feel to the stages. It also features a very different art design than previous titles. This game looks a bit more colorful and has a kind of a more anime look to it. The game was also praised for its motion capture animations, which look extremely smooth. This game is definitely the best looking fighter in the trilogy. The backgrounds have very nice detail and also feature very smooth animation. I feel the game lacks a bit in character selection. I'm not a fan of the goofy style, more unrealistic type of fighters that they decided to include here. I like my generic American military tough guys and Mike Tyson ripoffs. The gameplay engine has been completely revamped. It does feel a lot smoother and moves are even easier to pull off. The game engine really does feel great, and honestly, I feel it's the best the series has offered up. But honestly, I just can't get into the story, the location, or the new characters, and for that reason, I don't enjoy this title as much as the first two, but it's still a great game and I do get enjoyment out of it. This anthology is a must-have for fighting game fans. These are 3 fantastic Neo Geo fighters on one disc for a great price. You can still pick this game up off of Amazon brand new for around $20 shipped. A great way to spend $20 if you ask me.
Hey!